boys and girls. I'm Nana Rose. I've recently read a couple of stories where one of the characters writes a letter. One of the stories I read was Frog and Toad Are Friends. And in the last chapter, Frog writes Toad a letter. In Franklin's bad day, Franklin is missing his friend Otter, who's moved away, so he writes Otter a letter. Now, in today's day and age, most people will email or text or phone call or Zoom or FaceTime someone, but it's still really fun to get letters in the mail. So I just wanted to see if you all know how to write a letter. So if you do, you don't need to watch this. But if you've never written a letter before, this might be helpful. You might use some kind of what we call a stationery. Stationery is nice paper and envelopes, but you don't have to have nice paper and envelopes. Like this paper that I have that I'm trying to get out of the box, which is stuck at the moment, but it will come out in just a second. This says, "From the desk of," and then you put your name on it. And this comes with some fancy envelopes. When you open up the envelope part, ooh, shiny. So that's an example of some nice stationery. It also came with little stickers that you could use to close the envelope. But again, you don't need fancy stationery. You can go to just a regular box store and get some very simple stationery. I went to a box store one time and just got some simple blank note cards. This one has 4 different designs of cards in the box. It wasn't very expensive. But again, it's just very simple note cards. But you don't need, sorry, that was me setting things down. You don't need fancy note cards. I also dropped my pen, hang on. But I'm dropping everything. You ever had those days where you have the dropsies and you're dropping everything? You could just use a regular piece of paper. It doesn't have to be fancy stationery. And usually at the top, you would put the date. Now, I'm not going to show you fancy ways to write letters, but it's just nice to know the date that the person wrote it. So I happen to be writing this in May. I'm not even certain what today's date is. Let's say it's Mother's Day. Let's say it's Sunday, Mother's Day, May 10th. May 10th, 2020. So you usually put the date on it. You don't have to. And then most letters start dear. And then who are you writing it to? Since I said I was writing it on Mother's Day, I might say I'll write Dear Mom. So that's the salutation. That's when you say Dear Mom or to who is from. And then the body of the letter is whatever you're going to write to the person. Okay? And if you're writing your best friend, you might say, I miss you. I'm sorry we're not in school together. I wish we could do some fun things. I don't know what you'd say to your friend. But to Mom, you might say, Dear Mom, thank you for being my mother. I love, that's my silly O. I made my O to look like a heart. I love you very much. Happy Mother's Day. I don't know, whatever you want to write to your friend. And then you usually sign it and you might say love and then put your name, or sincerely, or talk to you soon. You might end it somehow. But if it's to your mom, you might write love. And then you'd put your name. Love, Nana Rose. So usually it has a date, it has a salutation where you say something. There's the body of the letter, and then you sign it off saying love or sincerely or hope to talk to you soon or just thought I'd send you a quick note, something like that. Then you need an envelope. Envelopes come in different sizes. There's a small one and a bigger one. Now, for our purposes, let's pretend that you wrote a letter to your friend. Up here in the left-hand corner, you put your address. That's called the return address. If for some reason it can't get delivered to the person it's going to, the post office will send it back to you so you know it didn't get where it was going. So the return address would be up here. So I'm going to put my address up here. So I'm going to put Nana Rose, and I'm going to say that I live at 123 First Street. And I live in Anytown, USA. And I'm going to say that the zip code is 12345. So what you do when you're writing an envelope is, oopsie, you put your name. And I put Nana Rose. And I live at 123 First Street. That would be the address of the house that you live in. Then Anytown is the name of the town you live in. And then the state usually. So if you lived in California or Maryland or North Carolina or Vermont, you'd put that there. If you lived in Sydney, Australia, you'd write Sydney, Australia. There's probably a slightly different way that they do it. And then down here, these 5 numbers are what are called a zip code. And whoever you live with, your mom, your dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever, can help you with the zip code and the address where you live. But then you have to know your friend's address. Let's say my friend lives right across the street from me. So I'm going to send it to, let's say my friend's, like I can put this up so you can see it. Let's say my friend's name is John Smith. John Smith. And I'm writing John Smith a letter, even though he lives right across the street, because I can't visit him because of COVID-19 right now. So let's say he lives at 223 First Street. In Anytown, USA. One, two, three, four, five. So you put your address up in the upper left-hand corner. You put the person who you're mailing it to's address in the middle. But then, if you're going to mail it through the United States Postal Service, you have to put a stamp on it. So these are love stamps. And as I said, I have the dropsies and I'm dropping everything. I just dropped my other stamps, which are also fun. These are my Sesame Street stamps. I like my Sesame Street stamps. So you peel off. Let's see, I'm going to peel off Bert. And then the stamp goes in the upper right-hand corner, like that. So then I have my letter. Now, you have to understand, I just wrote a letter to Mom, but I'm mailing to my best friend. That doesn't make any sense, I know. But you get the idea that you're writing it to your friend and you're going to mail it to your friend. So then you just have to fold the letter so it fits inside the envelope. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fold up this one really small. And I'm going to put it in a small envelope, which I just set where. Here's my small envelope. I'm going to put this one in a small envelope. And I'm going to address this envelope. And I'm going to be silly because this envelope, let's say I live at 123 First Street. If I was going to send it to my mom, it would have the exact same address, assuming that your mom lives with you. She might not. So if I was sending it, I would put Nana Rose, 123 First Street, Anytown, USA, 12345. But if I was sending it to my mom and she lives in the same house, that's kind of silly, isn't it, to actually spend money to mail a letter to my mom if she lived in the same house. I would put the exact same address right here. It would be Mama Rose, 123 First Street, Anytown, USA, 12345. But on this one, since it's going to my mom, I'm gonna put a love stamp on that one. So my mom is gonna get the love stamp because I love my mom. So, and the last step of that would be to lick the envelope right here. See this shiny part right here? You see that? The shiny part is the part you need to lick. And then close it. These kinds here, you don't have to lick because this has a peel off. It already has sticky stuff and you just peel off this one. So let's say I wrote my letter to John Smith, my best friend. So this is my letter to John Smith. I'm going to write the date, May 10th, 2020. Dear John, I miss you. I am sad that we cannot play together. I hope to see you soon. And then I might write, your friend, Nana Rose. So, however you write your letter, doesn't have to follow that format, but that's usually how people write a letter. And then this one's going in a long envelope. So I'm going to fold it up nice and long. Put it inside the envelope that's going to John Smith, my friend. I would peel this off, close it up, and I can send an envelope or a letter to my friend. I could send it to my mom. You could send a letter to anybody, as long as you know your address and their address. So that's how you write a letter. And that's what Frog and Toad did. And that's what Franklin did. So, since you're stuck inside for COVID-19, why not write some people letters? Maybe your grandparents live far away. Maybe they miss you. Maybe you miss them. Write them a letter and tell them that you miss them. Ask your parents for envelopes or a stamp, whatever you need. And if you don't have it, just give them a phone call. Text them, FaceTime them. You can do those things too. But whatever you do today, have fun.